Greetings from Freedom for Youth Ministries. Today we are continuing our way through the Way I'm Wired series with lesson number 3, Knowing Your Strengths, Weaknesses, Opportunities, and Threats. We will be doing an analysis today to analyze these 4 things and help us understand and discover and fulfill God's call for our lives. But first, this week's memory verse is Philippians 1:6, which says, "And I am certain that God who began the good work within you will continue his work until it is finally finished on the day when Jesus Christ returns." This lesson will focus on your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So, ask yourself, what do these words mean to you? If you know your strengths, opportunities, threats, weaknesses, then God's purpose for your life might become more clear and more doable. Let's look at Ephesians 2:10. "For we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus, so we can do the good things he planned for us long ago." Thinking back to our first lesson, we talked about how God is the ultimate creator, builder, and he intentionally crafted us that we might trust him to complete his purposes for us. So, let's start figuring out our S.W.O.T chart. That is, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats chart. We're going to start by drawing a big square on a piece of paper. Now divide that square into 4 smaller ones. We're going to write the words strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, just like this. And the words helpful and harmful at the top of the chart and internal next to strengths and weaknesses. And that means that these will be the things that come from inside you. And external next to opportunities and threats. And this means that these are things that come from somewhere else in your environment. So, what top 2 strengths, that is natural talents, resume skills, or learned abilities, has God wired into you from birth or helped you develop over the years? In what way have you used or could use those strengths to do God's work on earth? Artistic ability or being good at math could be put here. Remember, knowing your strengths can help you serve. Now, in what way could any of your weaknesses be blocking your desire to serve God wholeheartedly? Knowing your weaknesses can help you know what to surrender and lean on Christ for. Weaknesses such as short tempers or poor listening skills might be put here. Now, what life opportunity do you have? What are blessings that God has given you in people or circumstances that are setting you up for God's call for you? Knowing your opportunities can help you become a better leader or help you get somewhere in life to go with your goals. Great opportunities may be things such as living in a free country or having choices in education. Now, what are some threats that you might be facing? Share a few details about how that might be sabotaging God's finest plans for you. Just because you have weaknesses and threats does not mean that God does not want to use you. Sometimes those things can be the best testimonies that God uses in his plans for you. Some threats might be bullies in your life or low support from other people. how do we surrender our weaknesses to Christ? What does this actually mean? Remember, this is not easy and doesn't happen overnight. Surrendering our life and trusting Him that He has a plan for us, asking for forgiveness for those things in our weakness category that we need help with and forgiveness for. Jesus came specifically to take our weaknesses from us and nail them to the cross so that we could have a relationship with Him and be free of the eternal consequences of those weaknesses. All we need to do is surrender them to Him and let Him take them on, declaring that they do not define us or belong to us. Put our faith and life in His hands. He has a good plan for us. Philippians 1:6, Paul says, "And I am certain that God, who began the good work within you, will continue His work until it is finally finished on the day when Jesus Christ returns." What does this verse mean to you? Did you know that we can be completely confident in our eternal security? What is eternal security? This verse is a promise to cling to. Your relationship with Christ is secure no matter what your S.W.O.T chart says. Salvation is not based on you or what you can do, but about what He did for you. It wasn't you or me who began the good work, but God. Do you realize that God is at work in your life? That He is drawing you to Him? Today may be the day when you start to realize God at work in your life. Remember what Philippians 2:13 says. For God is working in you, giving you the desire and the power to do what pleases Him. And 1 Thessalonians 5:24 says, God will make this happen. For He who calls you is faithful. This is a process. God created the idea of process and progress and loves you enough to see you through. Before we go, here are some questions that I want to leave you with. Why does God want you to look at and know your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? How does knowing what your S.W.O.T chart says cause you to change for the better? What good work has God begun in you? Or do you even believe that He has? Can God still use you when you've messed up? And how? Think about these things this week. And thanks for joining us, and don't forget that Christ loves you, and all of us at Freedom want to see all of you very soon. So stay tuned for more updates and videos and lessons and fun stuff. Have a great week. Bye.